All right, we're live. So, welcome to another Run Wild with Us, Ask Us Anything. I'm Lisa Kastner. I'm the founder and executive editor of Running Wild and RIZE Presses. And I'm here with you each week with some of my fantastic editors to basically answer any kind of questions that you may have. It can be around publishing, the creative writing, the craft of writing. Um, how do we get all those big words in those little tiny books? Um, whatever you want. So, how we do this is, hey, Peter, awesome to see you. I was just going through the walkthrough of how this whole thing works. So,
Okay.
um, all you have to do if you have a question for us, just go ahead and put that question into the comments section. And then what we do is we then will, I'll repeat the question and then we'll take turns in responding to whatever that question may be. So with that, Peter, how are you doing? What's new and exciting?
I'm good. The Novocaine from my dentist appointment this afternoon finally wore off.
Yow!
So yeah, that wasn't a fun cleaning. It's been a while, so I was due.
Oh my.
But other than that, that chapter is almost ready to hand into you. To give to you. So I'm still working on it. It's coming along really well.
Good. All right.
Other than that, same old, which is good. It's comfortable.
I'm really looking forward to reading your latest and greatest. So, and it's long overdue.
Cool.
When was that? You were gonna originally. It was like, gosh, it was months ago, dude.
February.
Yeah. Hey, Amy, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. It is so hot here. So I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, and it was like 101 today, like regular temperature. Heat index was like 115. So yeah, I tried to stay inside as much as I could today. It's crazy.
Oh, that is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here in LA, it's still like in the it's hitting mid to high 70s, but that's about it. So I'm definitely thankful I'm in LA right now because good Lord, I heard like Arizona is like 109. That's just crazy. What's it like in Florida, Peter? I don't think you can hear me. Oh well. Hey, Margaret, awesome to see you. Thank you for joining us. So Amy, what's new and exciting in your space other than the fact that it's so friggin' hot?
I have just been writing and editing. I have a project that is going to production really soon about a witch who moves into a new house. She's like a modern, witch. She moves into a house that's haunted, and unlike I would be, she's very excited to kind of get to know the people who live there and what kind of life they lived. But as she does, she uncovers lots of dark secrets. So yeah, very cool book. It's very like gothic, so it's right up my alley. Love it. And I'm excited to get it into readers' hands.
Awesome. Fantastic. I can't wait. Can't wait. And how's your book going?
It's going really great. I am on actually the last chapter, wrapping everything up. I have like 3 different women's stories that all come together in this final chapter. So this is the hardest chapter to write. But it's going really well. Just need time to sit down and devote to it. I have, 2 kids running around all the time trying to get me to go on summer adventures, but very, very close. So I'm very excited.
Awesome. Really, really looking forward to it. Margaret Buchanan says, my parents are originally from Alabama, Auburn.
Nice. Very cool.
Very, very cool. Yeah, absolutely. So, Peter, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. So how are things in Florida? We were just talking about how freaking hot it is in in Alabama. So
Yeah, it was 92 degrees today. Felt like 90, 98 or 99, something like that. Crazy hot. But the good news is the storms that might have come up towards Florida are now south of Mexico. So we're good there. Hurricane season hasn't started yet for us.
oh, well, that's good, I think.
It is good. It is good. I've lived through several hurricanes, and it's never fun.
No.
Scary. Yeah.
Hey, Ben, how are you doing?
Good. How are you all?
Good. How is it there in Mexico or New Mexico?
For us. We're used to the heat and sunshine, but it's been a really cloudy June, May, April, and windy. It's still windy too. The winds are hanging on. We used to get winds in March, but for them to go till June is unusual. We don't like it.
Okay. What's new? What's going on in your world? We heard from Amy and Peter. They're both working on their own pieces as well as editing phenomenal works. So, what are you up to?
I've given up on literature altogether.
Okay. I highly doubt that, but sure.
Actually, I've got a manuscript from Caroline that's ready to come to ready to go to production.
Wow.
We finished that off this week, and so you'll see it shared with you for production, ready to go. And it was a lot of fun working with her. We polished it for the reader.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. How's your no F's given going?
I am following him through this time.
Okay.
And so he's ahead of me. So I'm going to start over and go through and see what he polished based on my first time through. That sounds like we're close, but it's been a lot of rework and moving and making it work with sections in different places. And so it's all there. It's just a matter of making it flow for him. And he wants it to be everything to everybody, and that's very difficult to create.
It doesn't work that way. You can't make everything be everything for everybody.
Yeah, but it's got a lot of good parts. It will appeal to not just veterans, but to anyone interested in going to Iraq.
Oh, okay.
The experience of going to Iraq.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's based on his personal experiences, and I think some of it's been fictionalized, but all based on true experience. So not a memoir, but not necessarily a work of fiction either.
Got it. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
It's good work, and Tim has a plane, and I've talked about it before. He's got a plane where his writing will just take off, and a plane PLANE, not take off. But when he gets that, it's really super work. So it's a matter, and I've said it before, it's a matter of bringing the other work, maybe not to that plane, but up to where it has the same type of flow and interest and rhythm to the writing for the readers. And because once he gets on a topic and he's got the passion for it, his passion comes through, and it's good writing when that passion comes through. But the danger of that is when it hits flat, you know it when it's flat, and we got to get those flat parts up to where it maintains the energy. That's a good way to put it, I think.
Got it.
But he's a classmate of mine at Tampa, so we're still talking. And that's a good thing.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, I'm editing a thriller that I'm about two-thirds of the way through. So I think it'll be a really great work. It's reminiscent of like Tom Clancy. So that'll be fun. And I was reminded the other day that I have like 3 different manuscripts that I'm supposed to be working on right now. So of my own. One of which is one we've got in production, and then I'm taking when people read the follow-up to Cure, when they read Family Pack, if you have any ideas for follow-up books, definitely reach out to us, because we take requests. It doesn't mean we'll do them, but definitely open to new ideas. So and I'm gonna start actually this weekend writing more like a nonfiction book to help people like map out whatever your passions are, what your dreams are, so that you can actually make them real. And then I actually was I want to say about a year ago, to use Dune. You know the story Dune, the original novel. So to use the original novel as like a baseline structure for a completely new series. So I still actually have to start mapping that out. So other than that, obviously I'm not doing anything. Oh, and then we're going to be going through all of the submissions in the next, the end of July, something like that?
August, I think.
Into August. Yeah. And there's some really nice works in there. So we should have a good time going through them.
I'm about halfway through the short story selection process.
Oh, yeah?
I've got no's, maybes, and yeses, and the yeses will get priority, of course. But then if we need extra work, I'll go to the maybes again.
Okay. So what do you think so far?
There's some good work, and some interesting stories that will fit together nicely, I think, in another eclectic collection that we like. And they're from all over the globe too. That's always exciting to see. Getting submissions from everywhere, international submissions.
I was actually surprised. I saw on both Twitter and on Facebook, tons of people are talking about writing novellas and like submitting them in for novella anthologies, which I remember when there was no such thing as a novella anthology. So I thought that was pretty cool. Caroline says, "Hey guys." Hey Caroline, awesome to see you.
We've already talked about you, Caroline, so
yes. We said how fantastic you are and how you guys are pretty close to passing it on to production. Yeah, which is fantastic. Congratulations. So
we had some good discussions along the way.
Well, there's no surprise in that. So what else is going on, guys? What's new and exciting in your world?
I wish I had something.
Oh, well, all I know, we still have the writer's strike going on. So
yeah.
I'm just surprised it's lasting this long, because it's gotten like major backing from very high profile people. So, but oh well, I guess for whatever reason, they can't come to agreement, which is a shame. But anyway,
and the Directors Guild came to an agreement, so they took care of the directors before the writers. Good luck with that.
I would be curious to see the specifics of the Directors Guild agreement and the Writers Guild agreement and like compare them. You know, I'm curious like what the differences are, and because that's a little to your point. I think maybe that's kind of surprising that they came to agreement for the Directors Guild so quickly, and the Writers Guild is still up in the air. So, but they keep. I'd say every day there's another announcement of layoffs in the media and entertainment industry. So they're still looking for ways to cut costs.
We had in Birmingham, we had a few author events the past few weeks. We had Josh Luckerson. He wrote a book about the about Black Wall Street in Tulsa, and then the Tulsa Massacre, but then also like the makeup of the community today and all of the descendants of people who lived there when they founded Black Wall Street. So that was pretty cool. He did like a conversation with the poet laureate of Alabama.
Oh, wow.
So it was neat to just kind of listen to them talk. And they were both so great. And then I just met with Jocelyn Jackson. She writes kind of like Southern kind of thrillers. I met with her and she was so sweet. I'd never met her before, but she was having an event really, really close to my house. And I went over and yeah, it's just so cool to see authors out and about. We went through that era of COVID where no one was going anywhere.
Yeah.
So this is really exciting to like see writers out there promoting work, getting to meet them is really, really cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had a blast at the at StokerCon, which is the Horror Writers Association's big annual conference, and it attracts people from like Australia, like the all over the world. And I think this was the biggest one they had so far. There were 600, more than 600 in person, and 200 online. So now what was interesting too was the number of people who said this was the first time they felt like they not only had a chance to go to like a lot of really awesome workshops, but like they could actually take quality time and sit down and talk to people. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Because it's not easy to do that. And anyone who's been to a writers conference knows, a lot of times you end up basically hanging out with the same group of people that you typically hang out with, and if you're lucky, you'll meet some new folks, but you may not have like really in-depth, conversations. So it's very cool that folks were able to like kind of expand outside their immediate network. So, but yeah, people are going out, definitely, now that we're allowed to socialize, people are really taking advantage of it and hitting up all the different conferences and stuff. So how about Ben, any conferences going on in your space?
Not that I know of right off. We're having, it was just released. I don't have it upstairs, but the anthology was just released by the Southwest Writers, and the military focused, and it was from writers all over New Mexico and maybe even in Arizona, the Southwest. But there'll be pockets of readings based on where those writers are from, the regionals, the regions they're from. So they're scheduling readings all over the state. And so I've got one on August 12th in Santa Fe.
Oh, wow.
Santa Fe Public Library. So it's
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. It's I just got to go find the Santa Fe Public Library.
Oh.
When you go to Santa Fe, you've got to leave New Mexico to get to Santa Fe.
Oh, okay. Cool.
No, that's a shot against Santa Fe. Sorry.
How
It's like
about you?
going to New Orleans in Louisiana. You got to leave Louisiana to go to New Orleans.
Well, I mean, kind of. It's its own thing. So
Yes,
it's like,
you
you
get
got to
it.
leave California to go to San Francisco. So yeah. How about you, Peter? What's going on? Any interesting conferences or workshops in Florida?
There's a couple in Miami. I don't know when they are, but in the fall in November, there's the Sanibel Writers Conference, which is getting bigger and bigger since I started going to about 8 years ago. So it attracts some really good writers and some really good workshops. So I go when I can. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go this year, but it's a fantastic experience, a conference to go to. It's like over 3 days, 4 days, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's on
Nice.
the Sanibel Island, so it's really intimate.
Hey, Cody, how are you doing?
Hi, everyone. How's it going?
Good. What's new and exciting in your world?
Something very exciting. I met with Desiree Zamorano today,
Okay.
who's one of our authors. And she and I just finished editing her manuscript, so we were getting ready to talk about, okay, well, what's next in the production process and what's next with publicity. And I'm just really excited for this book. It showcases a kind of hidden history of LA and the way that both federal and state authorities treated Mexican Americans in the 50s and 60s and onward. I mean, there's deportations, there's forced sterilization, there's a lot of injustice that's covered through the lens of one man's story, and I think this is going to be a title that really resonates. So that was fun today, just be able to talk with her and actually meet in person, which doesn't happen so often.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
And we had chocolate croissants, so I have a recommendation if you're looking for a really good chocolate croissant.
Excellent. Is it like a coffee shop in the area, or?
Yeah, it's in Pasadena.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Yeah, we've been talking about doing like an in-person gathering for LA area RIZE and Running Wild authors. So
that'd be amazing.
Yeah, we should definitely keep looking into doing that. That would be a blast. So very cool. And I know we're going to be sending in a something for IBPA. I saw that.
Yes. The application is like 95% complete, and we've got a day before the deadline, so I have some things I want to confirm with you offline, and then we'll send that in. And fingers crossed, it would really be kind of a jump start to expanding RIZE, and I would be really excited to get that going.
Awesome. Well, I'll make that my priority for tonight. I'll go through this. So actually, I think there are more titles than what, because I just recently went through and submitted us for another for some other like award, and I had to list out all the RIZE titles both from last year and this year. So so yeah, I'll flesh this out. I'll take care of this for you. No worries. Caroline says, yeah, Ben, get ready. You're coming north next year. I'm inviting you. Oh, I'm inviting you too, Lisa. Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard. I love Martha's Vineyard personally, so you'll get no complaints from my space. So Ben, I think you just got challenged, dude. I think now you're gonna have to go to Cape Cod.
Where is that? North Carolina? Just kidding.
You know she's gonna kill you for that one, right?
To Boston, I'm okay.
Now, is there any state, Ben, that you can't go to? With your smart aleck comments.
Yeah, probably. There probably are now.
There probably are now. Yep, absolutely.
There's some I won't go to, but which is the same. I know when to self-exile.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Is there any of all the titles that you guys are working on, are there any that you're really eager to like start working on, or like what's going on in your own personal writing? I know, Cody, you're like all over the place, man. You're involved in so many things. I don't know how you stay on top of it.
Yeah, I'm bouncing between a lot of different things, but I see that Margaret Buchanan's here, and I have a to-do to reach out to her to say, hey, we're going to get started soon. She's the next up for me to work with in the RIZE portfolio, so I'm looking forward to that, and possibly as soon as second week of July. So I'll follow up with her directly, but that's going to be great. She's got a great manuscript, so I'm looking forward to digging in.
Very cool. Very cool. And if there are any titles, Cody, that you want us to start diving into, just let me know, and we can look at the editors that we work with and see who might be available to dive into the next one. So
yeah, I am curious who here or among our group would have the most experience with poetry.
Ben.
Sorry.
Ben, what's your schedule look like?
Wide open. Let me know what you need, Cody, and it'll be open for you. I'll make room.
I'll get that moving as soon as I can. Yeah.
Is it a full length collection you have?
Yeah, I have
okay,
it.
Cool.
I need to review it in more detail, but yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing, Lisa, maybe for you to help me figure out is Teehee's manuscript.
Oh yeah. It's supposed to. Well, that was about to come out really badly. It's a mystery. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. So
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you have you looked at it in depth or
Not yet.
Okay. All right.
It's one that I would love to work on, but that would probably mean like starting pretty late in the year. So, timing wise, I don't know if that's the best option for him.
Based on my conversations with him, I think he's pretty open. I think he's more, and again, this is just based on when we worked with him on the short story collection. For him, it's more about like it being the right editor, if that makes sense. Like someone who really kind of understands what he's doing with the manuscript. So yeah, we can talk about it offline, but yeah, let me look over maybe the first like 10 or 20 pages, and then I might be able to make some recommendations in terms of who might be a good editor for it. So
that sounds great.
Cool.
Did you have a good time at StokerCon?
I did. I got to meet some authors who it's actually StokerCon's one of those bizarre conferences where you've got like huge best-selling, multi-million selling authors, and Joe, who is just wrote his or her first short story, and we'll be sitting next to each other, and so you've got people who get to interact with like their icons. And so it's really kind of it's fun to see the interactions, and to be a part of that. And what I really love about it is it's there are some conferences that you go to or like workshops where you can feel the tiering, like this person's up here, and then you know, others are, you know, you know, based on your experience or your knowledge or what have you. And everyone's not people aren't treated equally. And StokerCon's one of those where everyone is actually treated equally. And but I personally think that because of that, it causes the quality of the actual workshops and the panels to be like 1,000 times better, because they really actually listen to the attendees in terms of like, what are they interested in, and you know, what's going on in the market, and you know, what are different things that you need to be aware of. And even though StokerCon is targeted toward horror writers, the reality is, I'd say 80%, if not more, of the actual panels and workshops are relevant no matter the genre that you write in. So that was, it was really wild to, you know, be, you know, like sitting in the middle of the conference, and you know, across from me is like, you know, this like someone who's basically been a phenomenon, you know, and then having dinner with them, you know, like later that evening, just because we're both at the same, you know, conference. So and you know, everyone's just very open. And it was funny, I was on this one panel I was invited to be on, which is taking the book to market. Like, and it's it involves all the key roles for taking a story to market. So it's starting with the author, the editor, the agent, and like the publisher. And they invited myself to represent more of like the smaller and mid-sized presses, and then an acquisitions editor from Tor, which is yeah, so you know, huge publisher. And you know, just kind of walk through like, so what do you do at the different stages, and you know, what do people need to be aware of? And it was interesting how you know, open everyone was, like, you know, just very transparent in terms of like how things work and what they look for, and all that. So if you're a thriller writer, a horror writer, even a sci-fi fantasy writer, because there's a lot of overlap in terms of like the different genres that the authors write in. StokerCon's definitely worth your time. So, and then I think I go to a B&B in the end of August, beginning of September. So that should be cool. It's in a haunted B&B. So
Lisa, I'm coming with you to that.
Are you really?
Yeah, it's gonna be so much fun. Yeah, I talked to Holly about designing the kids workshop, the student workshop.
Oh, cool.
So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Any way I can help with the student workshop, let me know.
Yeah, I sent her tons of ideas, and she's like, any of those are great. So yeah, she's very encouraging.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I love Holly. She's fantastic. So we'll have a blast. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Caroline,
what's it? Go ahead.
I think Caroline is asking the same question you're about to ask, Peter. Like, where is this?
It's in like South Alabama. It's a historic house that used to be all kinds of things. I think at one point it was like a hospital. Another point it was like something else, and now it's a bed and breakfast that's supposed to be, you know, haunted. And we're having a like a little conference there, and the students will be there. We'll have a short story contest for them. yeah, it'll be really, really cool.
I'm looking it up now because the website, and I'll put
So
it.
how is it haunted? I mean, do they have bad sightings? I mean, just strange stuff happen or what?
Are you guaranteed a visitation?
I don't know. Let's see. It's the Holly House Bed and Breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And
I have it in front of me. It's built in 1906. And then in 1936, it was a hospital. 7 generations owned it. And then, oh my gosh. All kinds of things have happened in this house. This is crazy. All the different people that have stayed there and lived there. So I guess a lot of the hospital happenings have made it haunted. Whoever, I guess, passed away there.
It must
did not
be.
leave. Yeah.
I don't know that
passed away there. So that's why it's not a hospital anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know that they promise a sighting. But
extra for that.
Yeah, you have to pay extra for that.
It's only VIPs. No.
Sure, why not?
Well, you two will have a sighting then.
Of course. It'll make it more interesting. And for those who are watching, I put a link to the actual their website in the chat, so it should show up. And it's HOLLEY house. If you're trying to find it, that might be, and you can't find it, that might be why. So cool. I'm trying to think if there was anything interesting from a craft perspective that any of us have encountered in this last week or two. I actually saw one on Twitter, and an author had made actually a point, and as he put it, he was going to say something that is really unpopular. Let me see if I can. So his name's Gabino Iglesias, and he actually won the overall StokerCon award this past year, or just now. But his point is, don't explain everything. Don't describe all your monsters in detail. Don't digest the narrative for your readers. Let them think. Let them work. Let their brains feed the images. What do you guys think?
I really love that. I had a creative writing class that I took, and one of the lessons was about how a story is kind of like a house, and how the main character can show everyone the outside of the house. That's, the perfect shutters and all of that. And then people that you kind of know, they come in a little bit, and so they can see the living room. So it's kind of like the same with their character. They'll show them kind of bits and pieces. And the closer you are to whoever, the other character is, the more into the house that they can come. But they will never, ever let them inside the secret room. And that's where all of the gross stuff, that we think are, our flawed selves, that's where we keep it, is in the secret room. And we'll never let anyone, even ourselves, go in there because it's too, shameful or whatever, the adjective. So I always try to keep that in mind when I write about characters, is what's in their secret room. And then also they're going to try to hide it. And how would they hide it, especially to people that have access to other places in the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
The people that really know them, how would they hide that shame, whatever it is they're carrying? So yeah, I totally agree.
Mm. And what do you think, Peter?
I think a little detail just to get the reader going in the right direction is a good thing, because that'll shape what the author is trying to convey to the reader. So, I mean, I love Amy's method of the house and exploring who gets to see what, but too much description kind of waters down the effect. Whereas just a little bit of description to show the reader what you're talking about, I think is perfect.
How about you, Cody?
Yeah, I think, leaving enough room for the reader's imagination to fill in some gaps is a good thing. And striking the right balance, I think, is important, because often, especially with writers who are just starting out, you can go too far in either direction. You can overwrite to the point where there is no room for the reader's imagination, or you can fail to provide enough detail to really, sink in to the reader's mind. So I don't know if I like that I end up being the guy that's like, you always have to strike a balance. But I do think that there's, especially for whatever tone or mood you're trying to establish and the distance you want to have in terms of to the narrator and the events, it, more or less can be a good thing. I don't know if that's a wishy-washy answer. I think it depends on what your intent is.
No, that makes sense to me. How about you, Ben? What do you think?
It reminds me of the short story. I think it's The Monkey's Paw, and where the son dies and they buried him, but the monkey's paw can bring him back, and you don't need to see him come back. But when he knocks on the door, that's where the story ends, and that's enough. Okay, wait a minute, he came back, and so that kind of, I think it sets it up to where, like Cody's saying, the psyche of the reader can be an extra character, and based on, you can imagine, everybody would imagine maybe not the same thing knocking on the door, but something just as gruesome as everybody else is thinking. So that's what you tap into, that knowledge and experience, and you can leave it at that without getting without them ever having to open the door. It's just not necessary. And it goes back to Amy's secret room. Maybe you don't need to open that door. You just know what's there by your own experience. So I think there's I think if there's a balance, it's a balance to saying less. More is less is more.
One of the authors that I'm working with, Curtis, is a master at this. I mean, he'll give you just enough detail to picture the town that he's staying in, or the tree that he's talking about, and just let it go. There's a tree there that's yay tall, and there's a body in it, and that's all you need to know from his perspective. He likes bodies in trees.
He likes bodies in trees. That's awesome.
Speaking of trees, I just finished Near the Bone by Christina Henry. And she is writing about a beast in the forest that can live in the trees. And we don't get a lot of detail about what the beast looks like. Every once in a while, you'll get a description of a claw or how its eyes looked. But it's similar to what we're talking about in that she sketches in just a few details, but the rest is all just terror, because you never know when this thing's going to strike.
Oh, wow. Cool. Yeah, I think sorry, go ahead.
I think what the reader can imagine can be so much more terrifying than what you're putting into the story. So too much detail, like I said, it takes away from it. So less is more, like you were saying. I agree.
I wonder, I mean, I haven't really thought about this before, but I wonder if horror specifically is one of those genres where getting this balance right matters. I mean, I'm thinking compared to romance, where there's also a question of like, how much detail do you put in? Is it salacious and you're getting all the physical stuff, or is it more about the emotional movement between the characters and how they connect or are more distant? I can see how that craft discussion would go different directions depending on which genre we're talking about.
Sure.
Yeah, I think too. It's in reality, the words are performing more than just the description, right? It's the pacing. It's
Mm-hmm.
there's so much that each word is actually so much work each word is performing, depending on how it's being used. And I think less is more. Has the if you go into too much description, oftentimes, I mean, it really slows the pace of the story down, and you can kind of get the reader can get lost within the description itself, and not and forget like what story they were reading and why they were reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes there's all this detail that maybe the author needed or wanted in order to formulate what they were going to put on the page. But at the end of the day, what the reader actually needs is significantly less than what the author potentially needed to go into whatever
Yeah.
it ended up on the page. But I mean, I agree with you, Cody. I think it depends on what your goals are, right? What you're trying to accomplish, and where you are within the story itself, and what you as the author want the reader to take away from that section. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my wishy-washy way of saying I agree with everyone. So
I have a question about, because I know like many of us are writers too, in addition to editors. Do you start out with kind of the messy, wild, full manuscript and then pare it down to the essentials, or do you construct it and add, sparingly and thread all of the things that need to be threaded through, or does it look like something else?
I don't know who wants to tackle that first. I see Peter's like, I'm not doing it.
That's a tall deal. How do I approach my writing?
I mean, some
How
people
long
say
do
like
we
I
have?
can't talk about my process because it'll kill my process. So I respect that too.
Okay. Well, I mean, I personally, I usually come up with a concept, and I'll kind of start. I write a lot of notes around it, and then I might write a section, and then I'll go back and write more of the outline. But but like the whole time I'm writing too, I'm doing research. I'm interviewing people who may be relevant to whatever the story is. Like for the last book that Ben and I worked on, there's a whole section that's heavily influenced on characters that have PTSD. So I interviewed quite a few people who actually either have or have had PTSD, and get an understanding of how that affected their lives, right? Because we know the stereotypical version, but I wanted to understand, really what does that mean to be impacted by PTSD. Yeah, I'm very cyclical. I don't have a linear approach. So I don't know. How about you, Ben? Since you're right next to me on this screen.
I was thinking from a poet's point of view, it reminded me of a poem I wrote, "The Lady on the Phone," and it just came from an image of looking across a courtyard at a hotel in Palm Springs, and seeing a lady in the window on a phone, and then thinking, well, what if she wasn't really there? And and then taking it from there, and it's I don't know. I hesitate to read it. I found it. I've got it on the screen, but I hesitate to read it because it's a question about process, and it's just an idea that from a poet's point of view, you've got to keep it short or it loses energy because it's not a short story or a novel. So it's got to maintain energy by staying short and trying to be keeping its impact.
Mm-hmm. How long is it?
A page. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
All right, if you want to hear it. Okay, you just small. It's called The Lady on the Phone, Hyatt Regency, Indian Wells, California. The lady on the phone walks the hotel hallway in a constant conversation, and I see her from across the courtyard through the window of early morning light, moving slow in a delicately thin beach cover-up, wisping away from her watery and shimmery as she paces between the panes. And on the cool morning that she's wearing what she's wearing is unseasonable, but not unreasonable, just another scene of a common occurrence, a smartphone discussion in common corridor of closed doors and privacy. So I don't think about it much until the maintenance man sweeping dead leaves out of the October pool tells me a woman on a cell phone slipped and drowned back in the summer.
Ooh.
End with a twist. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. Very cool.
I messed it up there in the middle, but
No.
I'll rehearse next time.
Now, so to the point about process, when you went into writing it, did you already know what the ending was going to be, or did it develop as you were going forward?
Yeah. I knew just based on the way, it was probably the way the curtains were and the way it made her look not real, that I had to have her not there. So how could I explain her not being there based on somebody else's point of view? The maintenance guy. The maintenance guy shows up to tell me, oh, yeah, these are dead leaves in October. You should have been here in the summer. And so to tie it together. But it was... So I knew the process was, I knew that I had to get that lady not to be real. I see her, but she's not real, or she's not there. The apparition, the murmuration of the apparition.
Cool. How about you, Amy? What's your process?
So I usually start with a character. I'm a typical writer who has all of these characters that come and visit all the time, and they kind of tell you about themselves. So I really try to make sure I have downtime where I'm not doing anything, or try to go on walks or do things that get me in a zone where I'm not doing anything productive, and I can just get to know them, if that makes sense. And then I start kind of listening to their stories, and I find out what their secret room is and what they'll do to protect that, and put them in different situations. And sometimes I'll have other characters meet, and I know, like, if they either want to kill each other or they fall in love, I got to put them together in a book somehow, right? But yeah, usually it starts with character, and then I just, based on their story, I'll know kind of where I want to get them to. So I'll kind of plot things out, but I never know, like I said, how they're going to interact in that scene, whether they are going to kill each other or fall in love or both, or what's going to happen. I kind of just write that out, and that's how I get to the end. And then sometimes I write a whole novel and I realize it's about a different character, and then I'm like, aha. But yeah, but that's part of the process, right?
Got it.
Yeah.
How about you, Peter?
I really don't have a method or a methodology. I just kind of write and tweak as I'm going along, because I'll get an idea for chapter 1 when I'm on chapter 7. So we'll go back and touch up a little bit here, change an image there or whatever, and then go back to 7, keep going forward. So it's a constant process of just bouncing throughout the manuscript as it comes into mind as a full a being kind of thing. Because I don't plan things out. I don't do the Poe thing where he knows exactly what's going to happen throughout the entire story. I just kind of let it be organic, because I want to see what happens with what happens in my brain, what I come up with. So it's just going to see what happens. I could be more disciplined, but it kind of works for me that way.
Cool. And Cody, are you willing to share your secret method?
No secrets. No. Yeah. It depends on where I'm at in the process. Early on a project, I'll be just trying to get out as much as possible and following the imagination and what excites me about the story, whether it's a conflict between characters or whether it's a certain action. But later on, when the manuscript's already formed and it's about the editing process, there I find I'll get like an insight about what I really meant to write that maybe wasn't enough in the manuscript in the first pass. And then I'll think about how do I layer that in, at which points in the story does that become important and where does it, where do I hint it? And then later on it comes to the fore. So yeah, it's probably, that's some takes on it, but it's, I think probably a lot like Peter, it's more messy than I'm making it sound. And yeah, I do get characters like talking to each other in my head, like Amy.
Oh, cool.
You probably hear them in dialogue with each other, and that's kind of a cool thing because you're like, where the hell is this coming from?
And then I'll close this out with the question from Caroline. So how about a family? I think that's maybe member that hides nothing. How do the other family members in a family handle that? It's a story from a secret told.
We all know people who overshare. I just read a scientific article about someone who, and I don't remember the scientist's name, but he was trying to research people who just are in love and addicted to drama. Like this was his area of study. Like, what is it? What is the motivation behind this? What is it doing for them, socially? Like, and so it's interesting to me that like it's we just don't really understand other people a lot of the time.
Yeah.
What motivates them, why they're doing what they're doing. Oh, but he did say that maybe a lot of it is about at some point maybe people learn that's how they get attention and that's how they get connection is by creating things that interest other people in their lives.
Actually, that's a good point. And they don't even, it's so subconscious, right? That like this is this positive reinforcement for them to actually get attention that they
may not be aware.
Yeah. Yeah, completely unaware. Yeah, that's really
interesting. Of course, I'm in a community with a lot of people who create drama for the fun of it. So that's also a thing of the self-conscious creation of drama as like life performance art. That's a thing too.
Well, that's true. Yeah. So awesome. Well, with that, actually, we only have like 2 minutes left. I don't know, guys, if there's anything that you want to add to close things out or.
The reason why I keep glancing to my left and right, because we've had about, I'd say at least 8 to 10 helicopters pass over the house in the past 20 minutes.
Oh,
they
nice.
fly about 100 feet above the beach, 100, maybe 200 feet above the beach, going up to the military base in Mayport. So that just happened to be a lot of them. Usually there's only 1 or 2.
Wow.
That's why I've been going like this and going like that.
I thought maybe there was a cat running around or something.
Awesome. Well, with that, I want to thank everybody for joining and thank everyone who brought forward all these great questions. Thank you, Ben, Cody, Peter, Amy. As always, yet another fantastic session. And for anybody who's watching, don't forget, if you want to ask us any kind of questions, go ahead and pop it into the comments section and we'll go through and check out those questions and respond to them in the next week. So until then, wishing everybody a fantastic time and we will talk to you soon. Ciao.